Hey everybody, Bob Ciccarello back with another edition of the Voice of Bodybuilding, brought to you by our good friends from Panada, and I will be in Vegas this week for the HFA event. That's the old Ursha, has been renamed, and it's in Las Vegas at the Mandalay Bay. So I will be there with Panada and our good friends from ProFit Sports Solutions. So swing by there, say hello, grab a picture or whatnot. We can talk some shop, and always appreciate the ongoing support from Panada. All right, lots to talk about here. As you can see, a very special guest joining us. He's in the news this week. Welcome to the Voice of Bodybuilding, Ali Bilal. What's up, buddy?
Thank you, Bob, for having me. Thank you so much for everyone supporting the bodybuilding and supporting me the last week.
Well, it's you've definitely
Good to
been in
be
the
here.
news, that's for sure, and for good reason, though, I might say. And I wanted to have you on here, to speak your piece. You've gotten lots of great support from your fellow men's physique pros, as well as a lot of other pros in the pro league in various divisions, not even necessarily in men's physique, but you expressed your disappointment, not so much in the money. The money was never an issue. We all know no bodybuilders basically get in this for the money. It's for the idea
Yeah.
of winning a show. It's for qualifying and getting on the Olympia stage eventually, as all roads lead to the Olympia. But tell everybody what your thoughts were and why you made the news this week after your win at the Arnold Classic.
So first of all, it was never about the money. People took it like in the wrong way. They thought it was about the prize money. I was complaining about. That's also an issue. That's always been an issue for men's physique division, right? Because the difference between open and men's physique is like a 20 time more.
Sure.
It shouldn't be that big. I believe that bodybuilding should always be like the top. You always get paid more because the guys,
Sure.
they're huge. They play like they do a lot, and it's the first thing we came up there because of the bodybuilding. There should have never been. There could have never been a men's physique division or classic if there was no bodybuilding, right? So I respect that,
Fair
but
enough. Yeah.
there is a difference, but the difference is extremely huge. They increase the money for open bodybuilding every year, but they never talk about the men's physique. It stays the same. But the numbers of athletes every year is go up and up and up for men's physique, but never like really for bodybuilding, right? We only see the same body. This year you have like 7 or 8 open bodybuilders qualified for the Olympia, and you have already 30 men's physique guys qualified. That means there were 30 shows and there were only like 6 open shows. No, men's physique brings money, right? So there should be a little bit more. I'm not saying should have been like 200,000, but at least 50,000, right?
Sure, and listen, to
If
be
you,
fair, I get that. Again, you've been very forthright in what you're saying. Again, you're not saying that you deserve as much money or you think the division
yeah,
warrants as much money as the open guys or even the classic guys, but can it
right.
be 50,000? Can it be up there a little bit where we got a little respect?
Oh,
And just to give
especially
context, the money of the Arnold is half of what it is at the Olympia. The Olympia is $50,000, and that certainly might go up this year.
the thing is, if you come up on stage and you say your show is better than the Olympia, you say that out
Yeah,
loud, like, right?
right?
You say that your show is better than the Olympia. How can your show be better than Olympia if you don't even pay the half of what Olympia pays, right? And you know that's one of the problems. It was, as I said, it was never about the money.
Right.
The thing is, the last 4 or 5 years, I watch all the shows. I love men's physique, I love the division, I love all the champions, because for me, I have different reasons why I chose men's physique. I will tell you that later. It's not because I don't like to train legs, because it's a different reasons.
Right.
So yeah, because I'm a Muslim guy, I'm from Middle East. We don't like to show our glutes and ass and everything on stage. That's one of the
Right.
reasons for me. That's the reasons for a lot of other guys who do men's physique. It's different reasons involved, and why we do men's physique. So the thing was, like, the last 4 or 5 years, every year Arnold come himself. He's a hero for us, right?
Sure.
We look up to him our whole life. We watch his. I won Arnold UK. I won Arnold Ohio. You know, I always look up to him. We watch his, movies, everything. That's we get inspired. And then he comes up and he tells the youngest guys on stage, a guy who win a show, he's waiting for this moment to go, get the trophy from Arnold. And he's so happy that he need to say one word. You looked amazing. That's it. Even if he need to fake it, It's not going to cost him anything.
Right.
But instead, he say on stage, he come with a mic, he tell the guy, "Oh, show me your legs. Why don't you guys should train legs?" That's disrespectful. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you are a holy person. I don't
Right.
care if you're Arnold. I don't care who you are. If someone works so hard, even if you have to fake it, he come to your show. He don't like. I go to Arnold. I don't expect to go and win and get that money. I don't go there for money because it cost me more than what I received. I've received 14,700, as I told you,
Yeah, right.
after all the text and everything, right? So I go there with no expectations, right? If I'm gonna win or not. My whole family, I fly them to Ohio. They all come. It cost me more than that.
Hmm.
I go there for just to see Arnold, to get the trophy from him, you know, just for that experience. I was going to print the picture and hang it in my house
Right.
when I won the show, but he ruined the whole whole vibes because all he had to say was one good word. He could have also not said anything.
Right.
Wouldn't be a wrong thing. But for the last 4 years, he keep disrespecting the division. Someone made the division with a thought it was a necessary thing. Like Tyler Mannion, he made the division for a different reason. It was not just to make money, because there's 2 billion Muslim people in the world.
Right.
In the Middle East, have you ever been to Kuwait, Qatar, all these countries? When you go into the oxygen gym, how many guys you see doing open and how many men's physique?
That's true.
If you see 100 guys, 99 of them are men's physique.
Yeah.
And for the right reason. Because in our religion, our culture, we don't show our glutes, we don't
Right.
show our ass, we don't even watch open. My wife, when
Right.
open division comes, she goes out. There's a different
Oh,
reason for that,
and listen,
right?
Ali, to your point, I've done many, many years with Botter shows, the Kuwait Pro, the
So,
Dubai Pro. So I can attest what you're saying is absolutely true. Men's physique is
and
by far the biggest there in amateur and professional. And like you say, as part of your religion, it's not really looked great upon in terms of showing your legs, your butt, glutes,
exactly.
anything that type of look. So he has to understand, and I get where you're coming from, because you had an expectation of going up there, and this is Arnold Schwarzenegger, right? Listen, we all grew up and idolized this guy, and I've had the
Exactly. Yeah.
chance to work with
Exactly.
him
That's
for
the
many
thing.
years, and then it's like a gut punch, and when he instead of giving you praise, or like you say, not even saying anything, he
You don't
kind of
have to
gives
say
a little
anything.
a hard time, for the what the
Make
division is.
fun of the athletes, right? It's and there's so many other athletes. To me, he was like, I was the only guy when I went on stage. He was like, okay, this guy looks complete. He trained his legs.
Yeah,
But it's not about me. It's about the whole division. If I don't come up and say anything, no one is gonna say it. If someone who plays fifth come out and say something, no one is gonna care, right? People are gonna say, "Oh, you lost, and now you're talking," right?
right.
But if when I say it, it's gonna make maybe one day make a little difference for the guys, people who come after me, because I love the division. I love the sport. Maybe I would have wanted to do classic or open, but I don't think like I want to do it for different reasons, because I just had a podcast an interview with Afghan national TV. They're gonna show me on the TV. They show my competition clips. But if I was doing open, do you think they will show me in a national TV in Afghanistan? No,
Not
because
not
that's
where
the
you're
most
no,
Islamic
not where you're
country.
from. They're not going to do it. But
Exactly.
and listen,
So that's
the
the thing.
reason that we have these other divisions, for those listening, is that you have someplace to go if you choose to do it. Men's physique,
Exactly.
very popular, especially here at the NPC level. It's the most popular division we have by numbers at the NPC level. And at the pros, it's not much different. Now, yes, the interest mostly here, especially in the States, lies in the open and the big boys. And that's fine. You
Exactly.
recognize that. But to Arnold's point, the reason we have these other divisions, it gives a choice for bodybuilders to go in whatever they choose to go in, whether it's men's physique, 212, classic, or open. I got to give you credit where it's due. You were very adamant. You voiced your opinion out there. I saw Aaron Banks, another fellow Olympian, joined you in that, and then you
Yeah.
started to get a lot of, it started to snowball. You started to get a lot of people giving you credit, giving you props for standing your ground, and for basically saying, look, we're not going to be disrespected, and therefore, I'll never do your show again. And I got to applaud that.
There was not there's many more reasons than only that live. People only saw what happened, what he said on the live screen, right? But the show, the next day of the show, when there was like the champions thing that we all
The
came on
Sunday
stage, right?
seminar, yeah.
Yeah. So I woke up at 9 o'clock I went to bed two in the night.
Sure.
So tired with the family. I had to wake up so early. I had to be there 9 o'clock. Sorry. So I was there. I woke up 7:30 for that seminar. 7:30, dressed up. My wife coming with me. She
Right.
put all the makeup and everything. Oh, my husband is going on stage. He's gonna go give a good speech. I prepared myself. I prepared a nice speech. Like they're gonna ask me how I started bodybuilding, this and that. I went there on stage. You know how many questions they asked me? Can you guess?
I wasn't there. No. One?
Yeah. And you know what the question was?
Why are you wearing board
If
shorts?
some if no no if someone want to do men's physique, how should they train differently?
Uh,
I don't know. How should you train differently? Like, how should they start? That was the question, Bob.
yeah.
And there was one more, like, how do you feel like after winning? Okay, I thought now they're going to ask me question how I started bodybuilding, how I got into this
Sure.
level.
Sure.
And believe me, if they would have asked me all the questions that they asked Derek and what is other Sam Sulek and all these dudes, they would have gotten some motivational, like, good answers from me.
Sure.
I'm the guy who walked from Afghanistan, who started with nothing.
Right.
I had a story. I didn't start training somewhere in Florida or Tampa and then grow up and I decided to come do a show and won a show, and that was my whole story. No, I walked for 5 years from Afghanistan. I would have given them a good speech and a good
Well,
story.
listen,
But no, they
I've
only
got,
asked me one question, and I was the first one to leave the stage. And then they told me and a bikini girl, to leave the stage after 40, 30 minutes or
wow.
40 minutes. After one question, I just sat down, waited, and then they told me you can leave the stage now. They invited Arnold, so Arnold didn't even want us to be there.
Wow. Well,
That was
as
disrespectful.
we've gotten to know each other over the last few years, Ali, I do know your backstory, and it's a great story of overcoming adversity. And you were homeless just a few years ago. I mean, this isn't like ancient history. You were
No,
literally homeless, didn't know what
exactly.
direction you were going in life, and you put your efforts into competing in bodybuilding, and you've literally made a champion of yourself. Not only at the Arnold, but a second place finish at the Olympia, and now the favorite to go in there and give Ryan Terry all he can handle and trying to get that Olympia title. So congratulations for that. I'm sorry that happened to you. You should have definitely been given the respect of maybe telling that story, or again, at least getting a few more questions. And listen, he kind of threw me under the bus too at the seminar. Talking about how the old MC. I assume he was referring to me. Apparently they didn't like the job I did, so that's okay. Listen, no problem. But much like yourself, because of that, I vowed I will never do an Arnold show again. So I have that choice, and you have that choice. And what I'd like to express is to all the athletes out there that you're speaking to now, is that they have a choice. You guys,
Exactly.
the men's physique pro competitors, dictate what show is the best shows, which shows are the most prestigious, and which one has, your best interest and gives you the respect you deserve. If you guys collectively decide as a group, we're not going to go in this show anymore, then you have the power. It doesn't matter whether he has it or not again. If you guys say we're not going to do it, then that's up to you guys as a group and you don't do it. But you can make any show prestigious. The Pittsburgh Pro is coming up just around the corner.
I
That's
was
giving
yeah.
away $25,000. So you
They
guys can
give
make
you a
that
check.
show
They give you a
prestigious.
check. They give you a check that you just go and collect it in any bank that you want.
Right.
There is no calculating for you. That's what I call a show and winning a show. But I was talking to Wesley Vissers backstage. No, but not like at the weigh-ins.
Right.
You know what I told him? I told him you won because I want. He's a good friend of mine. I advised him to go do Pittsburgh, but now he's probably going to. He
Yeah.
was going to do the Pittsburgh Pro, but after the results, of course, he dropped off. But I advised him. I told him, like, you should go to Pittsburgh. Look what Pittsburgh did to me. You won two Arnold Classic. You
Right.
changed maybe one place at the Olympia. I did Pittsburgh Pro, New York Pro. I went from last call out to the second place.
That's right.
That's what you call show with value.
Hey,
You win a big
Ali,
show.
do me a
Yeah.
favor. Do me a favor when you talk to Wesley next and tell him to go into the open. I'm dying for this guy to take that. Listen, he's clearly having a hard time making the weight class, and that's why he loses muscle and size
No,
trying
he
to
got
make it.
sick. He got sick like the week before. He got sick, and
That
he looked pretty good, and then he got sick, and that was the reason he
Wesley,
couldn't
go to
like.
the open. Go to the big boys. You can listen. This guy I think would be awesome in the open.
Wesley is an amazing guy. Me and him, we had the same coach from when he started before the
Yeah.
first coach Me and him we had a first coach, like was the same coach. So Wesley's a great
Wesley,
guy.
he's a good guy. I met him as an amateur. He actually turned pro at one of my shows in the UK when
Yeah,
we
yeah,
first expanded into Europe. So I've always had a special place in my heart for him, for Samson, for my UK brothers that have made their way. But so, all right. So you're not going to be doing any more Arnolds anytime soon. Noted. What
I'm
is
done.
your plan now for the rest of the year? Will we now see you just at the Olympia, or are you going to compete
No,
more?
no, no, no. Pittsburgh, pro. Of
Oh,
course,
great.
Pittsburgh.
So
I was not. Bob. This is the funny thing. I was not even planning to do the Arnold.
really,
I was in prep to do Pittsburgh because I wanted to defend my title.
sure.
You know what that show did for me? I also told like Tyler and Jam what the show did for me. It changed my life. Like
Yeah.
completely from when I did the Pittsburgh Pro. I had like 200 something thousand followers. When I won the show, now look at like almost 1.4
I was
million.
going to say, and I got 2
You know
million
this.
followers.
Yeah, the show really like it helped me. It gave me, it brought sponsorship deals to me.
Sure.
It made me like the runner up at the Olympia.
Yeah.
So I'm always going to be grateful for that show, and I will always compete at the Pittsburgh Pro. I told Tyler also, as long as I'm going to do the Olympia, I'm going to do Pittsburgh Pro, and I'm going
Sure.
to defend my title.
Great. Awesome.
So yeah, I'm going to go there, and I'm going to do the New York Pro as well, Steve's show.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to
it's a
that one
week
as well.
apart. If you're going to
Yeah,
do one, you got to do the other.
I'm there anyways, so I'm going to do both of the shows, and I'm going to be the first guy who won the Arnold, Ohio, Pittsburgh, New York, and the Olympia.
This could be a
I
good
want
year
you.
for you, my friend.
I
So,
want you to practice. I want you to practice a new. I want
hey,
to hear
listen.
that.
Well,
So
listen. I'll be in Pittsburgh, so I will be calling that show, and I wish you all the best, of course, in that. So I'll
there
see
you
you
should
there.
say there you should say still, not
And
new.
yeah, that gets the and still. I'll give you the choice though. If you win, you can
Yeah.
be and two time or and still. I'll let you decide when we
No,
get there. But
still,
I'll probably
still
see you in New
sounds
York
great.
as we usually do coverage in that competition, and of
Great.
course
Looking
the
forward to
Olympia,
it.
bro. Your time to shine again. Ryan Terry is no pushover. You guys have battled, but you were right there this year. What a great rematch with you and Ryan, two great competitors.
It's gonna be a great show. I love Ryan's. He's always been like my inspiration for me before I started even like competing. He's been there like for a long before I even start training. He was like competing at the Olympia. I told him you need to retire. I will hate beating you on stage. I hate that.
Yeah, right. I know, right? But
Like,
hey, listen, all's fair in love and war, and then especially in the world of bodybuilding. So, Ali, I appreciate you taking a few minutes out of
thank you
your
so
time.
much. Thank
I
you.
know it's late there. You'll be coming back over to the States, I assume, fairly quickly.
Yeah, I will be there like in 6 weeks, so just 4 weeks before the Pittsburgh training,
Okay.
training at Steve's gym, and go from there to New York, Pittsburgh.
All right. Listen, Ali, I appreciate
Thank you.
you being vocal, standing up for your fellow competitors, and
Thank you
listen,
so
even though
much.
you guys compete against each other, you're a brotherhood at the end of the day, and you got to stick together.
Exactly.
And I
Exactly.
applaud your efforts, brother. So keep doing what you're
I
doing.
would also appreciate you standing up for us. You didn't have to do it, Bob. You didn't have to do it, but you stood up for us. We really, really appreciate it. On behalf of the whole men's physique division, we want to thank you for that. Thank you.
Absolutely, brother. Listen, safe travels, and I'll see you in Pittsburgh.
Thank you so much. See you.
Thanks, Ali. All right, joining us now, my co-host, Sugar Shawn Ray. This segment brought to you by our good friends at Mutant. Mutant doing a
Yes.
great job, Sean, at the Arnold, and of course, they continue to redefine the supplement industry with great products. I just took some BCAAs. I love that product after and during my workout. So I don't know if you've tried that yet, but I highly suggest you do.
Yeah, that's what helps repair the muscles after you've torn them down. I don't know that you're lifting enough to tear them down to sufficient standards, but yes, they are very effective. They are very important as well.
Well, especially listen at our age and for our training, yes, they are more important now than the. I like the pre-workout, but again, I think it's a little too much for my system, and I ain't training hard enough to need a pre-workout, Sean. So, BCAA is all about recovery, bro. But
Okay.
so I just had a segment with Ali Bilal. As you know, the whole story. Ali won the Arnold, and even though that was a great moment in his life, he felt a little bit slighted and a little bit disrespected from the man himself, and he very much put himself out there this week on social media, putting Arnold on blast and recruiting a whole bunch of help. I mean, he had Aaron Banks and a whole bunch of people from the men's physique division as well as other divisions backing him up and saying, yeah, we don't feel that that's right either. And if you don't feel like it, don't go in again.
Well, that's how you change things. I mean, listen, Arnold gave the guy a platform, gave everybody a platform. This is an invitational, right?
Right.
You know the down and distance when you get the invitation. If you don't like what the prize money is, if you don't like who the promoter is, if you don't like the time of the year, and someone invites you, don't go. I mean,
Right.
that's the one thing that I've always liked about the Arnold Classic is that you are selected, which means that someone gave you some thought that they think you would be an addition to the weekend.
Right.
And what an honor and a privilege it was for me back in 1989, and I got injured and I wasn't able to compete, and I was down in the dumps because I had to watch the show from the second row, and I thought what my life would look like on that stage, witnessing Gaspari win, and I took a whole year to
Hmm.
process the opportunity to come back in 1990, and I did, of course, and that was the infamous year I failed the test, and it was bittersweet. But by the time I got there to my third Arnold Classic in attendance and won it, I thought, just the mere fact that Arnold knew my number, just the mere fact that they thought I'd
Right.
be a good addition to the weekend, and there I was in the victory circle. At that time, at that age, it wasn't about the money; it was about being a part of what I considered history. And look what Arnold has grown this show into. It's nothing short of amazing. So I don't know. I think that if you got invited, you signed the document, you trained, you sacrificed, you went there, you did the business, and you won. And somewhere along the way, you got buyer's remorse because there weren't enough zeros behind that first number on the check, or because someone said they didn't like the color of your shorts or had the length of your shorts. That it take a lot more to be for me to be offended as I'm cashing that check and holding that trophy and looking at where I started in my bodybuilding career and how global that Arnold Sports Weekend is. He's going to get more recognition off of winning that show than he is anything short of the Mr. Olympia. So for him to
Well,
have a bitter taste in his mouth, I'm surprised.
to be fair, he made it perfectly clear it was not about the money. He says, "Look, this has nothing to do
Of
with the
course.
money. Let's just take that off the table. I have no problem with that. It is what it is." The problem he had was again the comments that Arnold made, the fact he felt slighted. And this isn't the first year. I mean, Arnold every year has made comments about men's physique and the shorts, and he doesn't particularly care for it. Now,
And the women, let's be fair.
and the women, right? To be fair, as we are, we said on the last show, look at Arnold, it's your show. If you don't like it, don't have it. It's your choice as the promoter. You don't have to have anything. You've proven that in the past with you have 4 other divisions that you've gotten rid of. No problem. We are being fair and saying to the athletes, look at, you don't have to go in the Arnold. You don't have to go on any show. You guys have the collective power. Let's just take the men's physique division, Shawn, to stick together, figure out what show you want to, or not to support. If you guys feel like we don't like the Arnold, we don't like his comments, so collectively we're not going to go. That's pretty powerful, and you guys have that power. By contrast, you want to make Pittsburgh your new show to go to? Again, that's $25,000 also and coming up, and you can make any show you guys want. You can bring the prestige to it by lending yourself and your collective selves to any show in the world.
Well, I tried unsuccessfully to unite the bodybuilders back as far as 2003. Was very unsuccessful. Two or three guys said yes, and then 6 or 7 decided to do their own thing. I
Right.
have a feeling that there's going to be very few people that get the invitation to the Arnold Classic and decide to turn it down because of what happened to one individual, the winner, who's not happy with the results or not happy with the check or not happy with the recognition. If my goal is to be the Arnold Classic champion, whether it's in board shorts or women's bodybuilding, um, and I get the invitation, I'm looking for number one. That's what our sports. That's the shortfall of our sport, is that we're all looking after number one. I tried the whole unity thing. I tried the union thing. I tried the whole, and it's a very slippery slope because everybody has a different agenda. They see their career paths a little differently than I saw mine. There's other people that get in your ear, the trainers, and everybody has different aspirations. But when that phone rings and it's someone saying, "Hey, we want to invite you to one of the biggest weekends and best experiences of your life," there's a lot of people out there that'll go for free and have.
Well, I'm going to say this because we have to keep things real. That's what we do. The days of the Arnold when you were coming up and winning Arnold titles and he was the man. All right. I mean, this was Arnold of all people in our game. He's number one. And he was in prime time, and that was a huge honor back then to not only get invited but to win the show. times have changed, my friend. That was then and this is now. Arnold's much older. They don't have all the divisions anymore. The monies are not in comparison with the Olympia, although they like to put that out. The production isn't close to the Olympia. So while they like to, put that out to the people like it's a Coke and Pepsi, it's really not. But I can't help but get the idea that the athletes today don't look at Arnold the way we look at Arnold.
Well, they're going to have to decide whether or not the winner is sour grapes, or it's one less person they've got to get past in order to get to the victory circle, which is the cutthroat um, way to be in our industry. But that's history has told me that's how it is. I stuck my neck out for many guys
Right.
to get it chopped off so that they can benefit from my words, my effort, my passion, and they are. Um, I didn't expect anything in return, but I did. I got my neck stuck out there. Some things didn't go my way as a result of being that person. If you can win and complain and walk away and boycott, hey, there's other shows on the market. Good for him. He's got that under his belt. There's a lot of athletes that would love to trade places with him. So I don't know how effective a boycott's going to be
Well,
because
and we'll
Arnold
see if
said
they
he
even
doesn't
stick
like the
with it.
division.
Let's face it, Shawn. We've never seen such a thing. They do have the power of social media these days, and people can formulate groups very quickly. So,
Sure.
I mean, I guess you can wait and see. Maybe Arnold won't take it. Maybe he'll take our advices. Always the right one, Shawn. And listen, he doesn't have to put it on. By the same token, they can, basically stand up for themselves and say, you know what, we feel slighted as a group, and therefore there will be no more Arnold for us, and that'll be real interesting to watch and see if these athletes can be on the same page and write their own ticket.
Listen,
I see you
I
have
can
your
only
reservations, my
relate to
friend.
the Olympia. I can relate to the Olympia. If Ronnie Coleman and I don't know Jay Cutler at the time said, you know what, you're not paying us enough, I'm out of here. All the other guys would be licking their chops because there's two less guys that they
Right.
have to compete against. So it's a slippery slope when it comes down to a union type movement.
Well, and as you and I both know, it's a great segue. And of course, this segue brought to you by our buddies at Celsius. Shawn, always a good drink in hand when you're getting ready for a podcast or a show. But this is what actually led to exactly our next segment. Both of us put our ants in the ring back in the day, talking 25 years ago. And
Yeah.
we thought that was a good time for the athletes to get together, not so much against the federation, but for the athletes to stand up for ourselves, to have a voice in our own sport. And that's when the union starts, talk started and all that. And like you said, they didn't really get anywhere, despite either one of our efforts. Like you said, they just weren't willing to stick together. And because of that, we're still having conversations to this day about $10,000 shows as we were then. Actually, it was you who started your own show on the heels of the $10,000 show, Shawn. Maybe you can share some of that with our audience.
Well, yeah, I complained. I won the 1990 first ever Ironman, and in 2003 they were still giving away $10,000.
Yeah.
But the show had grown into this massive expo that supported it, kind of like the Arnold Classic has. And the only thing that didn't grow was the prize money for the athletes competing. Now I was retired, but the optics for me was saying, I can't believe that the ticket prices have gone up and all of these sponsors have come to the table and you've added this huge expo and you're still paying the athletes what I got some 13, 14 years prior. The promoter, John Balick, then challenged me to promote my own show. And so that's a nice way to get started into promotions. That's kind of how my bodybuilding career started when people
Right.
told me I was too short, too small. So my first show, I came out and I raised $70,000, gave $25,000 to first place, had a $10,000 best poser award, and
Yep.
had not one, but I had two divisions. I had pro figure as well, and I added the NPC to boot. And rather than hold it in some high school, I held it at the Denver, Colorado Convention Center just to add insult to injury.
Yep.
And it was the irony of it was, can you do it twice? And of course I did, and that's the one that Kai Green won. That being said, when you hear these things being bantered about, maybe it is good for the sport. Maybe it is good for the athletes. Let's see what kind of unity they can gain. I took
Yep.
matters into my own hands to change something that wasn't going to benefit me. Because remind you, I was giving away money. I wasn't making money by
Right.
becoming a promoter. But it launched the careers of Kai Green and Phil Heath. And of
Yeah.
course, there were some other people. That Gary Strada made his comeback.
Yeah, that's
If you
right.
remember, Mary Lato was in that show in the
Sure.
women's
Mary
sprint.
Elizabeth Lato. Yeah.
It was a great weekend in Colorado. Memories I still cherish to this day. My dad was there, and And just the idea that I was able to pull it off, I'm still promoting all these years later over in Hawaii with the Shawn Ray Hawaiian Classic, where we've just added a new pro division, bringing back classic men's physique. We have men's physique, and we also have the women's bikini. So instead of one division, now I've got 3 pro divisions. So sometimes things kind of snowball into this big thing when at the beginning it's just this minor little thing. $10,000 after 14 years, you're still giving away that money. And
Right.
it launched my career as a promoter. This guy making noise today could reverberate into something much bigger down the road. If you're not mistaken, the Arnold Classic it got bumped up 200,000 for the bodybuilders, right? But there was no bodybuilder that I can recall complaining about what that first place check was.
Right.
However, they were the benefactors of an extra 200,000. So now you got the men's physique complaining. It'll do one of two things. Either that division will start to flourish and maybe they'll throw more money at it and give it more attention because it's being brought to the attention of the promoters, or it'll make so much noise that the promoters will feel like it's not necessary for the weekend and get rid of
Well,
it.
just to give a little hint to the bodybuilders, it was just a couple of years ago that the prize money did get bumped up to the tune of $100,000, if you remember, just before the show. That was due to a
At
lack
the
of
Olympics.
at the no, this is at the Arnold.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
right,
Remember,
right.
they bumped it up 100 grand at the end because literally they were having a hard time, even though it's an invitational. They had very few names, so things have changed. And if the athletes are paying attention to the bouncing ball, you guys collectively, because you didn't have a lot of interest in going in the show, forced them to increase the prize money. Then Arnold
We
came out, of
did.
course, last year and bumped it up again. So well, you talk about snowballing. What didn't happen years ago was we were unable, to, unfortunately, to get any type of a union or group together or whatever you want to call it. But what was born out of that was the athlete's rep position. Now,
Right.
being that I was competing at the time and you weren't, and we've hashed this over in the past, but you actually went out and you had to get a bunch of signatures because Wayne D'Amelia was in charge. For those,
Right.
he's ancient history for most of the people today. And you did that. You got 150 signatures, whatever it is you had to get, and you were put in position as the athlete's representative. So we would have a voice in the collective, in the our own sport, and rule changes and different things and stuff like that. Unfortunately, it was short lived. So you were in there 2002, I think it was.
Yeah, it was 2002 or 3. But either way, I was in there short lived because I saw
Right.
the shenanigans that were going on. I thought, I'm not interested in this. I was out trying to make a baby at the time. So I signed off and it wasn't worth my time.
Well, I picked up the slack, and that'll give a timeline to people. So since you abdicated the throne back in, let's just call it '03, I have been the athlete's rep, as I was put in by Jim Mannion at the time, as nobody else seemed to want the job.
Right.
And literally have been there ever since. So yeah, it's been 22 years. Okay. Now, the reason I bring that up is this. As you know, Shawn, I'm taking a lot of heat this week. I made some comments out there, and and we were both talking about Nick Walker, and he made some comments, and I made some comments. Listen, it's all just in the interest of fun to me and all that. We don't want to hurt people's feelings. We know that the athletes today are a little bit more sensitive than they were years ago, and we get that. Listen, it's fine, right? That said, okay, you got to take constructive criticism as a pro. If you can't take constructive criticism, especially from people who are considered experts, then get out of the sport. Well, like I said last week, take up pickleball or something else that nobody is going to give you any flack. And listen, like I say, Nick is a big boy. He can take care of himself. He threw out some stuff. I threw out some stuff. So that said, listen, Nick, again, we've talked about this before. Neither one of us have any bone to pick with you personally. It's never a personal thing, okay? Whether I predict you in any position. And by the way, we've been doing predictions
Yeah.
for as long as we've been doing this, 25 years, bro, 30
30 years.
years,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
So it's not unusual for us
To be
uh,
wrong.
to give our 2 cents of who's going to place where and whatever, okay? That said, people seem to have taken exception because they still fancy me to be in this athlete's rep role, and they think it's like a conflict. Well, so I want to address that real quick. By the way, I have addressed this dozens of times over the years, and as recently, just 6 months ago, I went on a podcast. One of the young guys in the sport actually does a real nice job of it. Has a podcast called EP09. And he's a man named Kennison. again from Canada, does a nice job, but he had me on there. And we're going to roll a clip so this is what I actually said about the athlete's rep position just 6 months ago. Roll the clip. If anything, I'm an athlete's rep on the what you want to call it, almost like an honorary position, because we don't have official meetings or any of that type of things. So that's fine. Listen, I still put in proposals. I still put in ideas. All right, Shawn. So as you can see, my friend, okay, I actually addressed this just 6 months ago on somebody else's podcast, but for some bizarre reason, they still can't figure it out there. So I'm going to put this about as black and white as it gets, okay? The athlete's rep position is not an official position anymore. It was. And about 10 years ago, Shawn, you'll remember this, we used to have the official meetings at the Olympia every year. It was an annual official meeting with official minutes. They would take a roll call. Everybody would have proposals that they would put in, especially me. And this was official, very official, in an official position 10 years ago, okay? Since that time, we don't have the meetings anymore. We don't have any official positions. So at best, it's an unofficial position for the last 10 years, okay? Let me tell you, everybody out there, what it's not. It's not a union, okay? It's not a union position. I'm not a union boss. I'm not an employee. I'm not an IFBB official. I'm not a manager. I'm not a publicist. I'm not on the payroll. I don't speak for Jim Mannion. I don't speak for Tyler Mannion. I don't speak for the IFBB Pro League. I speak for one person and one person only, and that's myself. Okay, so anytime I'm talking about where I think an athlete might place or how they're going to do or whether they should do this show or that show, this is the position it comes from, okay? There is no official athlete's rep position. I have been on record 100 times saying this, but for some odd reason, people, that's a conflict of interest. He needs to be fired. You can't get fired from a job you don't have, bro.
Right. Well, I mean, I think that's what they're looking for. They want to see some official documentation that says Bob's not my athlete's rep. Look, you're pretty crystal clear. You're not representing anybody but yourself. The same way that my opinion reflects my opinion. It doesn't reflect the IFBB Pro League or the Olympia platform or the Arnold Classic platform. My opinion is just as valid as any other podcaster out there. If we have a title in this capacity, what you're watching, we're podcasters today. We're retired ex-professional bodybuilders giving our opinion. I mean, it's ridiculous that we've got to quantify that, but you will always be the athlete's rep in name from the past, the same that I will always be the Arnold Classic champion from the past. It's been 35, 36 years.
And that's
I don't walk around with that title.
Listen, I don't either. Even though people refer to me as the athlete's rep to this day, even though I still work hand in hand with the Pro League, and I do work with athletes. I've had numerous athletes over the last 2 or 3 years, whether it's they didn't get their check from this show or that show, or they felt something needed to be looked into. I've written, not so much anymore, but when we were transitioning 5, 6 years ago, I wrote dozens of letters to prospective different countries on behalf of the athletes because they needed something to verify they were an IFBB pro and all that. So yes, I have worked in that capacity. But like I said, this is not a paying position, everybody. This is not even an official position. So stop already with the nonsense of, I can't have an opinion because I'm the athlete's rep, okay? So consider that from this point forward, there is no athlete's rep. You know what the athletes do have? They have full access to the Pro League. The same place that you send your check in to up your pro, your membership, right? It's the same email. Okay. Yeah. Much like I said 2 years ago when this came up from different podcasts and different people. If you got an idea, if you got a complaint, if you got something, if you want to call me, I'll be more than happy to look into things for you as a courtesy. I've never turned anybody down, but you have the same access I do. You want to get a hold of Jim, Tyler, whatever. They put their stuff out all the time, especially Tyler. He's very active. So if you got a complaint or whatever, put it out. If you don't want your name attached to it, then by all means, you can call me, you can call Shawn.
Yeah, it sounds very reminiscent of some of the reasons why I decided not to be a representation of anyone other than myself. Because here, again, we're talking about a grievance that one of the bodybuilders has or one of our athletes with the prize money or with the lack of recognition or respect for his division. Well, who you got to complain to? Why you got to go try to rally everyone else up? not to be a part of that weekend? Why you want to rally everybody else up to complain about the prize money? This is where an athlete's rep would be beneficial. This is
Yeah.
where representation comes in.
Right.
Change comes from being able to present a formal complaint, get your guys behind you, present it, and work for change. Now you have no representation. You know why? Because no one's interested. Because you guys don't appreciate what's happening from someone that's not being judged or scored. That's why you don't have active athletes trying to speak for other athletes that are competing, because, again, when you try to represent the whole, you wind up suffering as an individual.
Yeah.
So, do I think representation in our industry would be warranted? The NFL has it.
Sure.
The NBA has it. We are never going to be represented because we can't all agree on one
Right.
voice to represent us. So here we have a complaint at the Arnold Classic that the guys are offended because Arnold doesn't love our category. He doesn't love our shorts. We're not being paid enough. Well, write to your head of state, Vice President Tyler Mannion, or President Jim Mannion, and direct your grievances directly through those channels, or write Arnold himself. They're not impossible. You signed up on that invitation. Air your grievances to the Arnold Classic platform.
Well,
Those are the ones that can make change.
well, I'll say this officially for the last time on this subject. Don't write me. Okay? Don't reach out to me.
Right here.
Don't ask
Yeah,
me. Don't refer to me anymore as the athlete's
I
rep.
agree.
Okay? Again, it's an honorary position, just as I explained on that clip we just showed. Okay? At best. It's not an official position. There are no official positions, and there hasn't been for 10 years now. So I don't want to hear it anymore. I'm sick of
That's
it.
pretty
It's
clear.
just yeah, just listen, let's just be perfectly clear here, right? My views, our views are those of ourselves and the voice of bodybuilding, or again, us as individuals in our capacities, whether we're doing play by play, whether we're doing commentary, we're doing critique again on our show or whatever. Um, and again, the personal stuff, again, listen, I don't need personal fights with people. Just like we talked about before, listen, I don't have any problem against Nick Walker. Why would I have any issue with Nick Walker? And by the way, this is the same guy, and I'll remind everybody, that thinks I have some personal vendetta against Nick, which I don't. Whether I think his physique is worthy of the Olympia title is irrelevant. This is the same guy that on the Arnold stage, being that we're talking about the Arnold, just a couple of years ago, Nick won the Arnold, right? And he went out there and he got his first place award, and Arnold walked away and left him on the stage with no
Yeah.
interview.
I
I
was
took it
the yeah.
upon myself.
Mutant was the title sponsor. I helped present him with his award.
Right,
Um,
right.
the athletes like this are a little bit too sensitive. So as
But
it
listen,
stands,
but I want to finish my thought on that, Sean.
yeah,
He stood there in the middle of the stage, and I felt bad for the kid because he just won the Arnold, and there was no interview, there was no Arnold with his three questions. He just literally walked off the stage and let him stand there. I took it upon myself; it wasn't in the script, to walk over there and give him an interview because I thought it was the right thing to do. This was I
right,
thought that was kind of rude and inconsiderate. Not that I'm harping on Arnold, but
yeah,
this is the guy that just won your title, right? The main title at that, and he literally just left him standing there. That's something I did as a courtesy to Nick Walker as a human being and as an IFBB pro. It's also the same guy that I recognized at the Olympia, that he was in the front row in the year that he got injured and it was a tragedy, and we all hope to be on stage, but and giving him praise and props and saying that the show would be much better with you in it. So if you're going to take the bad, take the good also, people. Okay. So for Nick Walker out there, right? Listen, take your bad self, and listen. I hope you win your next show. And I got egg all over my face. And I tell you what, I am rooting for you, Sean. As I know, and I know you're especially rooting for him to prove me wrong and not be eighth place at the Olympia. I'm literally I'm
yeah.
rooting for you, bro.
Hey man, this is small potatoes compared to what I used to get into. I mean, Kevin making a comeback at 52 years old. I tell him he's
Right?
gonna get dead last. We didn't talk for a year, but we're the best of friends. Dorian Yates, I talked about his
Yeah.
stomach, his torn bicep, torn tricep, the gifts that he was given. Dorian Yates is a class act, right? So, we're not here to make enemies, right? I mean, I think people dieting and training for competition, they hear what they want to hear, then other people add the gasoline to the fire. Social media is a whole different animal that has to be handled kind of with kid gloves, because back in the day, you had to wait for the magazine to come out. It was whatever I say today is going to come out 3 months from now, right? So a lot changes in between there. But, Nick Walker has an impressive resume. What he's
Well,
done,
and
what he's
and
done
we've
with what he has to work with is nothing short of amazing. And someone's going to win and someone's going to lose. Listen, Tom Platz didn't have a beautiful body built,
no,
but he got second in the Olympia. Nick's got a lot to prove to himself. he proves it to himself. He'll prove it to everybody else. We'll be the first ones to pat him on the back. I mean, he's a world-class
Listen.
champion.
A steak dinner is on me, Nick. Okay, if you can win your next
That's
show,
what
if
he
you can
needs.
place anywhere but eighth place, and we'll use that as I see he puts that in his hashtags now. So listen, he does
Yeah,
have a sense
8th
of
place.
humor. He can listen. He can take it. He's a big boy, just like he said. Right? That's fine. Steak dinner on me, Nick. If you win your next show, okay, we can chat it up and all that, and we'll have Shawn there, and then I'll just make sure that I'm in the bathroom, Shawn, when the check comes.
Let's go. So next up is going to be the FIBO in Germany. It's coming up, April 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th. I'll
Yep.
be there
Yep.
for Panada and for Mutant in Cologne, Germany. This will represent my 29th year at the FIBO, which got started back in 1985. It's a trade show. This is
Yep.
the first time they're bringing back professional bodybuilding, which you forgot about. They're going to actually have competition the same weekend as the FIBO.
Well, glad to see that back because that FIBO show was epic back in the day. Everybody's seen those videos with Dorian and Lou Ferrigno and Victor Richards and everybody else up there, full off season mode, and Nasser just beating each other up, guest poses, and those lines would be long for the athletes.
And Marcus Rule.
Marcus,
Rule.
my buddy Marcus Rule. Everybody knows
He's
I should have
there.
beaten him at the 2002 NOC. Again,
Yeah.
big shout out to my German fans out there. They love me. And I will be at the Panada booth and the ProFit booth this weekend. I'm out tomorrow, Shawn, to the HFA event. That's the old Ursha. It's in Las Vegas, your old stomping grounds, at the Mandalay Bay, also our old stomping grounds at the Olympia.
Yeah, it's where the very first one that came to Olympia was in 1999 to Mandalay Bay, courtesy of myself and Paul Dillette, another little known nugget, as we lobbied to get that there. And it is the home this year in October where all roads lead to the Mr. Olympia back at the Resorts World. So big things following the Arnold Classic. And I believe after FIBO, the Arnold Classic Brazil comes up.
Yes. So we've got back to back. We'll actually be on the road for 2 weeks straight with Brazil and the FIBO. So it's going to be from South America to Europe. No time to get back home. But that's the business of bodybuilding, brother, and we do it.
Absolutely. And just to kind of put a little ribbon on it, after the FIBO and after Brazil, I think that's when you have the Detroit Pro, then Pittsburgh Pro, and then the New York Pro in May.
Actually, I think, isn't Detroit coming up at the end of the month? I think it's at the end of March.
At the end of March, it could be.
It's a reverse. It's actually before we take off to those. So Fuad and company getting their lineups together, and it looks like it's shoring up to be a big show. So good for them. Best of luck to Fuad and the crew for putting that on, and then we'll see some more roads to the Olympia, Shawn. But that's going to wrap it up for this week's edition, Shawn. Appreciate you taking the time as always, brother, and get in the gym, bro. That shirt's looking a little loose.
I'm on my way.
For Sugar Shawn, I'm Bob Chick. We're out.